Thank you. I would like to note for the record that we are experiencing record numbers of people testing positive, including most recently Senator Grassley, our colleague, testing positive for COVID, and more people dying. And yet here we are trying to put more judges for lifetime appointments to our various courts. So rather than dealing with a COVID situation that is impacting so many families and workers and businesses, we're spending time doing this, which is, by the way, is unprecedented that we should have a hearing like this in the remaining days of a lame duck president. So in this case, I am particularly concerned that this committee is holding a hearing for the Seventh Circuit nominee, who is further entrenching the lack of diversity that is characteristic of President Trump's judicial nominees. The NAACP has observed that the Seventh Circuit is the only all-white court of appeals in the country, even though 30% of its residents are people of color. And moreover, this seat is only available because Senate Republicans blocked President Obama's nominee, Mara Selby, who would have been the first African-American to serve on the Seventh Circuit from Indiana. I find the discussion on the originalism pretty interesting, because when we refer to Supreme Court decisions such as Plessy and Brown versus Board of Education, it's very clear that judges do not come to their positions like blank slates. Tabula rasa, Justice Rehnquist made that observation. Clearly, the courts and the Supreme Court could change its mind, and if if our nominee views himself more as an originalist, then we can look forward, as opposed to this current Supreme Court revisiting Obergefell, which Justice Scalia said there was no basis in the Constitution for same-sex marriage, echoed by Justices Alito and Thomas, who have signaled that they would like to revisit Obergefell. I asked all nominees for any of the committees on which I sat the following two questions, and I'm going to ask you this question. Since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No, Senator.
Krish? Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement related to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
Let me turn to an introduction you gave to then Attorney General Sessions in June of 2018 when he gave a speech on immigration in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And during the speech, Attorney General defended the Trump administration's zero tolerance policy, which resulted in thousands of migrant children being forcibly separated from their parents. Did your office prosecute any migrants under DOJ's zero tolerance policy?
Senator, my office indicts hundreds of cases a year, but off the top of my head, I don't recall any.
Well, maybe you could check, and if in fact your office did prosecute migrants under the zero tolerance policy, and then also if you could tell me if such prosecutions occurred, how many children were separated from their parents because of those prosecutions. Next question, did your office keep track of the parents and the children so they could be later reunited because of the separation under the zero tolerance policy? Was your office involved at all in keeping track of the parents of these children who were separated?
Senator, as I sit here today as the United States Attorney, I'm not aware of any such cases in northern Indiana.
You are aware, of course, that the zero tolerance policy resulted in children being separated, and in fact, some 545 of these children still, their parents cannot be found at all. It's a major tragedy. During the 2020 elections, as U.S. Attorney, you appointed an attorney to serve as the election officer to handle election fraud complaints in the Northern District of Indiana. Do you have any evidence of widespread voter fraud or votes being stolen
Senator,
in Indiana?
Senator, as the United States Attorney, as have previous United States Attorneys, we always appoint an official to oversee those matters. And as an assistant U.S. attorney, Senator, I did prosecute and was involved in voter fraud investigations. As far as current or active investigations that are going on in the Northern District of Indiana, it would be improper for me to comment on any of those one way or the other, Senator, as the United States attorney.
Well, as far as you know, has your this election officer uncovered any instances of voter fraud or votes being stolen in the Northern District of Indiana?
Senator, as the sitting United States attorney, I could not comment on that. It would be improper for me to comment on that one way or the other.
Or you wouldn't even be able to, excuse me, I'm not asking you to comment on whether or not, just the numbers, because you appointed someone to make that, to keep records of whether voter fraud actually, complaints were filed. And I'm just asking you what the numbers were.
Senator, there are
don't know.
there are processes by which we take complaints from citizens and by which we handle sensitive law enforcement matters that are where we work with our federal, state, and local law enforcement to conduct investigations. And it would be improper for me to comment on matters that may or may not be ongoing in the office with respect to potential voter fraud or any other area.
Mr. Chairman, is my time up? I can't see the clock.
Yes, it is, but you can finish this question if you'd like.
Thank you. I am not asking for any determination as to whether or not these claims are valid. I'm simply asking whether claims of voter fraud have been filed. That's all I'm asking. And I'm not getting an answer to that question. Okay, well, I will submit further questions for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hirono. Senator Kennedy, you're next.